from the meeting of November 6th. If you haven't had a chance to review, please do now, and then we'll take a vote on approval of the minutes.
I think that Victoria was identified as present in the minutes. Is that correct?
I was there.
Oh, okay. Which meeting was your associate at? I'm confused.
The meeting before that, I believe.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Thanks for checking.
I'm glad you were there.
Hey, Phil,
Yeah.
this is Craig.
Hi, Craig. Good morning.
I just got a call from a couple of people. They're having a hard time getting signed in. So one is Pete Bajano, Commissioner, DPW. He didn't get the sign in. So if you get to 520 Warren, he's working on trying to get signed in.
Hugh, I'm sorry, Craig. Shaheem has set this up, so it's pretty easy peasy. If you go to the landing page on the city website, and
yeah,
then go to
I
meetings,
sent him the right link.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
So
All right, we'll bear with and see who can come on, but the system was pretty slick at this point because it's just sitting there on the landing page.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I assume you all have had a chance to review the minutes. Any comments or questions before we vote? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of November 6th as
Make that
prepared by
motion.
Aaron Reese? Paul, was that you?
Yes.
Motion? May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor, aye by voice?
Aye.
Any opposed? Terrific, passed. As always, thank you very much, Aaron. Right back at you. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think, C of A votes today. Victoria, anything you want us to look out for? Or are you good with these?
A few of them have conditions. I sent them around. I tried to capture your conversation. But there was nothing I thought that needed more discussion.
Understood. So for those of you who are constantly tuned in to your city website, and I'm sure we all are, Victoria sent the Cs of A out, I believe, yesterday evening. Plenty of time to review, and if there are no objections, we'll just go forward and vote on the Cs of A as prepared by City Attorney. In no particular order, first up, 209 Warren Street. May I have a motion and a second to approve C of A as prepared by City Attorney Polidoro? Anyone? Paul, a motion? And anybody, you can just raise your hand, I'll see you.
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? None?
Aye.
C of A is approved for 209 Warren Street. 211 Warren Street, which was, these were a pair. If you remember, we asked the applicant to align the downspout from the new gutters differently so that they were separated rather than joined at the hip. The applicant agreed, and that change is specified in the certificates that Victoria prepared. Motion to approve 211 Warren Street. Anyone? Paul?
Motion.
And Hugh, would you be willing to second?
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Super. 107 Union Street. Motion to approve C of A for 107 Union Street.
So moved. Miranda.
Thank you very much, Miranda. And a second? Paul, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. 22-24 Warren Street. Motion to approve.
I make that motion.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Second.
Thank you very much, Hugh. 2224 Warren Street by voice. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None. 136 Warren Street. To approve C of A as prepared by city attorney. Anyone?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you very much, Paul. A second, anyone?
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Passed. Down to 136 Warren Street. Motion, please.
Did we just do that one?
Oh, good. 432 Warren Street. Anyone? Motion to approve. Hugh. And a second, please. Hugh, you can't motion and second. I need an actual other person.
Here.
Thank you very
Yep.
much. Chip. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
Phil, I'm just abstaining. It's my client.
Okay, so let me just make sure Erin has that. That was 432 Warren Street. We have one
Yes.
abstain, but we have enough ayes. Thank you.
We still have
And-
4 votes in.
Yes. Was 4. 33, and I hope I get this right this time, South Fifth Street, I believe is correct. And if no one objects, a motion to approve C of A is prepared by the city attorney for 33 South Fifth Street.
Mr. Foreman, this is Tom Sternal, the owner of that building. I didn't see the way it was drafted, but there was a question on our last meeting about the placement of the solar panels.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure if it was drafted that it could appear on the east side, which is the side facing South Fifth Street, or not.
Understood.
Okay, Mr.
Hold on a
Bullock.
second. I'm going to look at the Cs of A right now. They're in front of me.
Naheem, could you pull this
Sorry,
one
could you
up
zoom in?
for 33 South Fifth Street?
Mr. Bold, you asked in the last meeting whether or not I could place them on the back side of the house, which would be facing west. And I did want you to know that I did research that it would result in a 35% reduction in efficiency.
Wow.
And then that would impact both or affect both the whether it'd be enough to sort of power the house, and also
Sure.
it was a reduction in the NYSERDA benefit as well. So
Yeah, interesting. That's significant, and I thank you very much for looking into it.
yeah, thank you for the idea.
But this had no conditions as far as how it's drafted.
Okay. So
And with-
there's no issue with the draft. That's great, though. Again, I echo Chip. Thank you very much for researching that.
Sure. And there were two in front, or maybe we'll vote on that next, about the garage conversion to a workspace.
This is only for the solar array. I didn't have an application for the garage, I don't believe. I had left the meeting early.
Okay.
If the board discussed it, we can amend this to include that. But
Yeah.
Did discuss the garage.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did discuss it, and I recall that we approved it unanimously.
Yes, that's true.
There was 2 separate applications, one for the solar panels and then another application for the garage.
Okay. I'm just going to read from the minutes so we're all more or less on the same page. Tom states that he has 2 applications, one for the garage, the other is for the solar arrays. Shared his screen. The garage is existing garage too narrow for a car. Commissioner Barry asked the windows will be visible from the street. Sternal states if you were walking by, shares renderings of the solar panels. Motion to determine the application as complete was made by Commissioner Foreman, second by Commissioner Barrett, unanimously approved. Motion to have the city attorney prepare a sort of C of A. What we didn't clarify, certainly I didn't, maybe the minutes don't. Well, the minutes are clear. It's 2 applications. So Craig, are you saying you need 2 Cs of A?
Unless the one C of A recognizes both applications, that's probably more of a question for Victoria. But I mean, if you got 2 applications, you should have 2 separate C of As.
I just drafted a second one. It says, I'll read it to you real quick. The application attached here too hereby incorporated into the C of A for the renovation of a garage into a workspace pursuant to the specifications submitted to the commission is hereby approved. So the board can vote on that.
Did everyone hear that?
Yes.
Good. Did we vote on the solar panel? We stopped at that point?
I don't think you had a vote.
All right, we need to vote on the solar panel and then on the new draft that that Attorney Polidoro prepared on the garage. Motion to approve the solar array at 33 South Fifth Street with a certificate of appropriateness. Anyone?
So moved.
Thanks, Miranda. Hugh, your second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion to approve a C of A for the garage at the same address, 33 South Fifth Street, using the language prepared by City Attorney Polidoro. May I have that motion, please? Paul, thank you. Second, anyone?
Second.
Thank you
Miranda.
very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Done. Great. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
We just approved 7 Cs of A for hard times in everywhere. That's pretty cool. We've got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 C of A applications, if I'm correct. So first up, at least on my list, is 25 Union Street. Is the applicant here from 25 Union? I believe that was an incomplete application in the prior meeting, and I'm sure the applicant is working on it, so we'll move on. 453 Union Street. Who's here representing the owner for 453 Union Street?
Hi, this is Andrew Personette, representing Dan Barry. Dan Barry is also on the phone call.
Oh, terrific. Good morning, all.
Morning.
Morning.
So this is an amendment. I don't we filled out a new application, but basically we had an approved conversion. Well, the project is largely an interior renovation, and the rear of the existing building, we were lifting the roof height because we had 6-foot ceiling heights in the back. And in our demolition on the building, when we removed the roof in the back, we found that the brick walls that were existing were essentially crumbling. So we're proposing to make an adjustment to how we're managing that height addition in the back. So I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Thanks very much, Andy.
Let's see. Just to desktop. Okay. So this is the building we're talking about, 453 Union. It's 2 buildings combined, 453, and you can see on the left 455. The rear of the building is where the work is taking place, and it's kind of obscured by the tree, but there was this lower addition that now looks to have been added on at the same time as 455. Looks like 453 on the left here was the original building. So when they added on this back part, whereas the original building was 3 courses of brick, this rear addition turns out to only have been 2 courses of brick wide. And what you can see a little bit in this photograph is, there were 2 window penetrations on either short side of this wall.
Yeah.
And when we took off the roof, these sections between the windows were actually swaying with the lightest touch. So at the moment we had put up support to stabilize those. And what we would like to do, the original submission, let me switch over. So in the original submission, the way the building appeared from the rear, we were bringing the brick line down. I'm going to draw a line for clarity. We were bringing the brick height to level across the building. Let me just make that a little thicker. So we were taking it down to level and then going up with wood from there to the height that we were trying to achieve. So the difference between the prior submission and this submission is that now we would like to actually take the brick down to the sill height so that it's just wood for the upper level. We're keeping our window heights the same. We're keeping our windows, basically everything that was specified before is going to be the same, with the difference of where the line of the brick was. Before I think it looked a little odd, but the brick line was kind of at the center of the windows. And now we would have wood all the way up. And this is how it would look on the side. So that's it. That's the only real change from what was approved.
Thanks, Andy. Commissioners, thoughts, comments, hopes, dreams?
I think it'll look better this way.
Go, John. Agree with you.
Agreed.
I agree. And I also think, just as a matter of approach, having this new renovation look different than the old one is, I think, kind of good from a preservation standpoint. It looks like it was a later addition, which it was.
Agreed. I think it's just fine, and we really appreciate you discovering during construction and coming back and sharing your discoveries with the board. That's terrific.
Okay. May I have a motion then to find the application complete? Hugh, you have your hand up, and John is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to waive a public hearing and request the city attorney to prepare a certificate of appropriateness. Anyone? Hugh, your hand is up. Paul is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So Andy and your team, thank you so much. That was well done.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for your time.
Okay. Uh, 60 South Front Street, which is a familiar address, but this is a small bit. I understand it is an awning to go in front of Kitty's. Who's here from 60 South Front Street?
Ellie's here, but I'm actually on Matt's computer, but I'm here.
Okay.
Hi, good morning.
Whoever you all want to go ahead and grab a minute to share your screen so we can see the awning.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
So as I don't know if you all are familiar, but on the cross street side, as a part of managing the business especially with COVID, we have created this takeout window where customers, if they don't feel comfortable, can come up to the window to order coffee or food or groceries to go. And it's become pretty essential for our essential business. And we have found that we need a little bit more of weather and inclement weather, that customers need a little bit more protection. So we are trying to do something that's the least invasive and sort of mimics the overhang that you can kind of see on the corner here of the front of the building. And so we're proposing this small awning to go over the window that'll just have small gold writing that says Kitty's on it, so it can be identified by customers. And that's it. It's no longer Halloween, but it will be there for a while. And that's about it. I don't know if there are any questions about the color choice or anything else.
I think that well, I'll make a functional comment. I think people appreciate it when they go up to the counter to have something to shelter under.
Mhm.
No, I think it
And-
looks good, and also it's removable, so it's not really marginal in terms of our authority to rule on it.
Yeah.
Okay. This seems pretty straight up. May I have a motion to find the application complete
Make
for
that motion.
kitty zoning? That's Paul Barrett, and a second, please. Anyone?
John,
John, thank you so much. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? None. Motion to waive a public hearing and request the city attorney to prepare a certificate of appropriateness for
Jo-
kitty zoning.
John,
John, and a second.
Second.
Paul,
Martin.
thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Unanimous, and congratulations on the awning
No.
and on your great shop there. Stay in touch with Craig. The city attorney needs time to prepare the well, we're done with it, right?
Yes,
Yes. We're good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
too.
Okay. Next up, and this is, well, I'll ask Victoria, but in past situations, I understood that the city could choose to decline HPC review as part of government, and I think that's part of 169. But city wanted to come see us, and I'm totally delighted with that. I think it's great. So next up is City Hall 520 Union. Who's here to speak for the City Hall?
Hi, it's Peter Bujano. I'm the Commissioner of Public Works representing the city today. And with me is Mark Thaler. He's a principal with Lacey, Thaler, Riley, and Wilson. He is that is the firm that prepared the study, the feasibility study, the ADA review for compliance. And as you're aware, the U.S. Department of Justice at one point did a survey of the city of Hudson and identified a number of deficiencies which the city was mandated to correct in a settlement agreement. One of those items was accessibility to the city hall. And so the city commissioned the firm of Lacey, Thaler, Riley, Wilson to review the project and identify various options for accessibility. And the city has decided to select option scheme 3, which would provide limited, not complete elevator second floor, but it would provide accessibility that would be in compliance with that which was required or identified as being deficient. It would provide an accessible main entrance, travel routes, accessible travel routes that were proper, as well as improved toilet facilities. And I have Mark Thaler, if you'd like him to describe further in detail. I think Michael Shamides had provided you with a packet via PDF that had some drawings or had at least some photographs with it.
I can pull up the file at the moment if you'd like me
That
to share
would be
my
great
screen.
if you could share your screen.
This is Mark Thaler. Thanks, Mark, for being here.
Hello. Let's see. Just trying to do that. Do folks see the plan at the moment?
No.
No.
No, we just see the heads. So
Okay.
there should be a button, share screen.
Yep, now there is. Does it show up now?
Yes.
Okay. So the project basically would take the stairs out that are at the main entrance. Currently, you come from the sidewalk, you go up to the first floor level. What this would do would be to bring the entrance right down to the sidewalk, where you would come in to a lowered vestibule, and then there would be, you could either go upstairs into the clerk's office, or you could have an elevator lift, wheelchair lift that would bring you up to that level. In addition, there would also be on the dais for the Common Council, we'd also provide a ramp so that that became an accessible area. And from the back of the building, in this little alleyway, it is just 3 feet wide. This will be a sloped walk that comes down. Currently, there's a door that's right here. It's really not seen by anyone except those coming into City Hall. That'll actually become an exterior vestibule so that we can have a turnaround space, have a door that comes in, and then we'll have 2 bathrooms, one of which will be accessible on the first floor. So it does allow us to have accessibility both from the front of the building and from the rear. There'll be very limited change to the front of the building outside of the steps. And I can pull up the photograph here. Are you seeing the photograph?
Yes.
Yes.
So these steps right here would go away. We'd have marble going back, and this doorway would basically go down to grade. And you know, this design here we'd come up with something that really reflects the earlier designs for the doorways and such, so that it, you know, is an appropriate entrance into the building.
Mark, do you have, I assume you do, it's maybe a silly question. If we can be helpful to you in any historic stuff or photos or whatever, we're happy to do it, but you probably have access to all that.
I do have some historic photographs of City Hall. We had not yet, you know, we had done the study. We haven't done drawings, you know, developed drawings to complete everything yet. But yes, we do have some historic photographs as well, but it's very helpful to know that you may have some other materials.
Okay, we can follow up on that. Thank you very much, Mark. And anything else visually we can understand at this point, or there's more work to be done on designing the front?
There is some more work to be done on designing the front. We had just been asked to provide a proposal for that, and hopefully we'll be developing that over the course of the next month or so.
And
Again, anything that we could do to be helpful, we'd be delighted to do. As I said up front, my understanding is that government entities in town can choose to exempt themselves from this process. I'm totally delighted you came to see us, and therefore we should try to help you back. Thank you.
And one other thing, Mark, do you want to address the parking space in the front and the rear also, the handicapped parking?
Yep, let me open that back up.
It's also in there, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, so there actually will be a new curb modification at the front of the building on Warren Street, so that you actually have the ability to get a new handicapped accessible parking space where people can pull off, and wide enough that they're not getting out of their car in the middle of traffic here. And then there would be, you know, a curb cut right here that they could then get back. And in addition, there'd be also an accessible parking space at the rear of the building off Prison Alley.
So is the concept that you're looking for some preliminary comments now, and you'll come back for the C of A once you have plans for the front door?
I was under the impression, and I'm not extremely familiar with your process, but we were seeking to get approval to proceed now. We have, as Mark had indicated, asked him to provide us a proposal to do the drawings. I think he explained what the modifications were. Is there anything of detail you would need other than what he has expressed already about taking those stairs out and creating a vestibule? Is there That's pretty much the architectural change that's being there. Mark, if you want to address that a little bit further.
Sure. Again, from the face of the building, the only change would be, that stair being removed and the design of the doorway.
So normally, though, we receive like a rendering of what it will look like once the repair is done. So, I mean, it's up to the board whether they're comfortable with this or not.
It's understandable from a code point of view what has to get done and intellectually understandable, but we have no sense of what you want it to look like in front, including the materials that you'd be using for the door and some rendering of the stone steps. So I want you all to keep on working with us. I don't want to discourage you. What time do you need to put together what you're likely to do? What it's actually going to look like as a finished product, particularly for Moran Street?
Could you go back to the photograph, please?
Sure.
Sharing the
Yep.
screen with the photograph.
Do you see the photo now?
Yes, thank you.
So it would be removing those stairs and bringing that doorway down. So Mark, I don't have any idea, as they're suggesting, what the door would look. We haven't engaged in a contract with Mark yet to do that design. I'll let him address what he feels that change might look like, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think, again, we're probably, 4 to 6 weeks out from having those documents, I would think. But let me open up see if I have a historic photograph here.
While he's doing that, it sounds like they're looking for approval for the demolition first before they engage to do the detailed plans. And I'm wondering if the board would be willing to do a C of A just for the removal of the stairs and then have them come back for whatever it is that they're going to be putting in.
Of course. The only thing I'm struck, yeah, of course we would. But I don't know that they even need us on a C of A for the demo of the stairs, Victoria.
You keep saying that, but I'm unaware of any exemption for city properties.
Okay.
I was never quite sure what the authority was for that either.
My recollection is that I somewhere I have 169, but I'm not going to bother to look it up. My recollection is when those aluminum doors and front panels were put in, and whatever was there, I assume wood structure of some kind, that there was no consultation with Preservation Commission. But Victoria, I'll go with you. If we have purview, that's great.
Well, I didn't see a specific exemption in the code. The city always has authority to go through this process and do a balancing test and exempt itself, but I don't believe it's done it in this case.
Okay.
Bill,
Yeah.
This is Craig, if you would. This came up a few years back with 2 projects. One, actually, I think 3 with Promenade Hill as well, but the fire station across the street, and of course the police station. And the then city attorney, again, agreeing with Victoria, there is no exemption for any building in the city. It was always designated as by our city attorney then that, if anything, city-owned buildings should do this as a set of precedents. Because if this building is an historic building or an historic designation at any given time, it may not even be owned, I believe, if it ever transfers titles or whatever the case may be. But that's why when they approached me on this, it was forwarded off to you folks.
Craig,
So I agree with Victoria. There is no exemptions that I can find in the code for city-owned buildings.
Craig, is there an exemption for county or state-owned property?
No, there's under 169 that I can find in the code. There's no exemptions for any buildings. I do know we had a federal building, which was a Social Security building. I believe they had to go through this as well, if I remember right.
No, Social Security was just the
courthouse,
tenant. They were just the tenant.
Right. The courthouse, you know, the county courthouse, I believe they had to go to a historic preservation. I wasn't here then, but I came in the middle of that because there was a big issue with windows. I remember that. So I'm going on previous attorneys telling us that, yes, all buildings have to go through this. So.
Great.
That's
Great. Would you be able to go back? Well, actually, the photograph that you have here, this historic photograph, those doors are very interesting and could be used as a model for the new doors, possibly. But could you go back to the plan for 1 second, please?
Yep.
Okay. So looking at the location of the new door, it is being at the sidewalk level. It's moving out toward the street by just a few feet. Is that correct?
No, actually, this
Maybe you
plane
could go
right
back to
here.
the photograph, the contemporary photograph.
So, well, yes. Okay. So right here, there is this door that we see in right there is actually set back a little bit from historically there was another, you know, those other outer doors, right? I think that's right there. But but this, what we need to do is to make sure, because these columns are, you know, the space here is fairly narrow. From an ADA standpoint, we have to be able to have clearance to get to the side of the door to be able to pull that door open.
Yeah.
So the new design will need to be something like this. So it can't be centered because there's not enough space on the side.
Understood. Now that we're looking at this photograph, then the concept would be that the new door would be placed closer to the street, approximately at the location of the top riser in this photograph. If you could point to that so that the board can
Right
see.
there.
Yeah. And
of course it'll go all the way down, you know, to street level. So, you know, this woodwork, you know, would all be redone so that it matches, you know, some of the paneling, you know, some same detailing that's here.
Yes.
We'll have to do.
Yeah.
So
the pavement between the current sidewalk and the new door would be basically where those 3 treads are now. That would be new pavement.
correct.
And would you be using, could you reuse those marble treads or even that top landing in that location? Rather than
Possibly.
sidewalk?
That's a possibility. What we'll need to do is look at that a little closer. I don't know offhand how deep that is, whether it would make that entire area. Obviously, there's for each of these steps, there's a little bit of overlap. So, you know, I don't think we want to have, you know, joints that go across if we simply sunk those down to,
Yes, plus
you know,
there's
grade
wear
level.
on those top treads that would make them uneven, but.
Right. Yeah, we obviously want to have a situation that is not going to cause problems in the future. So,
I think that what the board would be looking for would be these kinds of details when you come back with additional details, which we would ask any applicant to do, what exactly will the door look like? What exactly will be the material of the doors? How you will respond to those panels, sides, as you say, they would be brought down, if you will, and added to or adjusted in some way. I personally think that the concept of removing these steps and lowering the landing, if you will, to the sidewalk level in order to achieve ADA compliance, I think it's perfectly acceptable in concept.
Yeah, the devil's in the details.
So Victoria, you had a thought. Well, I'm just trying to think how we can move this along. What can we approve really at this point? We're missing a lot of information. If the approval is simply the removal of those steps to street grade, that's one way to go. But then, Mark, we'd ask that you come back with a lot more specificity on what goes up as opposed to what comes down.
Sure, that's understood.
We did something similar with Old Shiloh where they were redoing their doorway. You allowed them to do the removal with the understanding that nothing could be rebuilt. In this case, I would recommend that you require them to retain the steps, not to discard them, so that they could potentially be reused.
Okay.
As part of the removal.
Mark, tell me if you're comfortable with the premise that what we're going to propose or put on the table to the commission would be to prepare a C of A for you guys that basically demos the existing steps to street grade, and a paragraph that suggests that you're going to keep those marble steps and see if they can be repurposed in the new solution.
That's fine. I mean, we will need to take a little better look at exactly how those stairs are engaged. I don't believe they are inset, so I think that they are just sitting in between the plinths of those two column bases there. So it should be able to remove relatively simply those three steps. The landing obviously has to come out anyway. I don't know exactly how that's engaged yet. So, obviously we'll look at that. Hopefully that can come out in one piece, slide out. I don't know that yet. Okay. And certainly, we're, Peter, I mean, obviously it's up to the city, but I certainly don't imagine there's any issue coming back and showing you what the final design is going to be. There's not going to be any demolition before we have the total project designed. So having something in concept saying it's okay to take out the steps, but you need to see more, I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Okay, thank you, Mark. That is where we are. It's okay to take out the steps, but we need to see more.
At this point, is it helpful to add in the rear ramp? I mean, can that work, or is that all going to be done at the same time?
It'll all be done at the same time.
And is the jurisdiction in your hands regarding the parking space in the front, or is that not part of HPC?
That's a good question. Let's see.
Can I respond to that, Victoria?
Yes.
That's correct. Based on the code and the way it's written, from what I can gather, Pete, the parking space or even the sidewalk, to my knowledge, is not within the jurisdiction of HPC based on 169 of the code.
Okay, thank you.
I believe it's either DPW or Police Commission, one or the other does that. The only thing is I will say about that the sidewalk will still have to maintain, when we lose part of that sidewalk, we're still going to have to maintain a minimum 4-foot clear space based on our city code. I don't know what the measurements are there.
Yeah, it was more than that.
Okay.
So,
The space from where the curb is to
Right.
where the building is, any of them projections, you have to have a minimum of 4 feet. But
4
that's
feet.
not for stuff. We can worry about that
Yep.
later.
Okay.
Also, if you would, if you don't mind, I'll make a reference to Victoria. Maybe you want to take a look at this. And I found in a code 169-11. There again, there's nothing in our code that says city-owned properties are exempt. But 169-11 relates to referral and related information regarding city-owned buildings, which is basically plan design, things of that nature. It's a relatively small chapter, or a relatively small paragraph, but I don't think reading that anybody's exempt. It's just the way the process of the plan is presented. And I think Victoria can look at that to make sure that I'm right. I'm saying that the plans have to be presented to the commission, and all the recommendations should be submitted to the mayor's office for approving, or otherwise authorizing the use of such plans with respect to securing the performance of such work. I think what that's based on is when the plans are approved, then obviously the mayor will approve the work to commence. I think that's how that's read.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at the jurisdictional issues.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Craig. That helps a lot. Can we then go ahead to, if the commission's comfortable, specific to the demo at this point, and the applicant making best efforts to preserve the existing marble stuff? Can we say that that the application is complete? May I have a motion? Not much.
Hey, Phil,
I'll make that.
real
motion.
quick,
I'll make that
Phil.
motion.
Just so you know, Phil, real quick, on your agenda, and it was presented by you as well, that this is 520 Union Street. It's actually 520 Warren Street.
Okay, but I did have the intelligence to label it City Hall, Craig. Just saying. I got it partially right. Thank you, though. What about the motion? Where were we on going ahead and getting these folks a C of A for the demo, with the understanding, obviously, they're going to come back with a presentation on the actual solution? Well, I'll make the motion to find the application complete. May I have a second, Hugh? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion to waive a public hearing and to request the city attorney to prepare a C of A for the demo with the contingency described to keep as much material as possible. Anyone make that motion? Hugh, thank you. And a second?
Miranda?
Miranda, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Terrific. So thank you guys on the presentation. As I said, we'll try to see if we can be helpful in any way. We're all reachable, so thanks a lot, and hopefully we'll see another round with plans of what this is going to look like going forward.
Thank you
Thank
to
you.
all. We very much appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next
Phil?
on, yes.
This is Craig. I don't see on your list 8 South 4th Street. They were on the agenda for the last meeting, and they weren't aware of the meeting change.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a no-show on the last meeting, and I hadn't carried it forward.
Right. I did send it over. Yeah, they didn't realize there was a meeting change. They were ready to be here last week, but they weren't aware of it. So I believe they may be on today. I'm not sure, but I don't see it on the agenda.
Okay. We're definitely, that's my screw up. We should accommodate them if they're here. Is anyone here to represent 8 South 4th Street?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Good. We're all good.
Good.
So tell us about your project, and when you have the opportunity, if you could share your screen and show us drawings and so on.
Sure. 8 South 4th Street is a Italianate townhouse building, circa about 1860. Work on the project started around 2017. A lot of that work was to do with shoring up the building because it was in had great structural difficulties at the time. So the client had gone through, shored up all the building, done work on the facade and certain other elements of it, and then the project was put on hold till this year. So at the moment, we're looking at trying to bring that project back online with a few elements that were still outstanding from the last portion of work that was undertaken, as well as some of the new work that needs to be undertaken regarding certain elements with the facade there. I can screen. Let me try and get the screen to work. Share screen. Hold on a minute. Get this to work. Hold on a minute. It's not letting me open up. Okay, that's not going to work. I'm not sure why I can't screen share the information. Let me try it again. System, all right.
Looking good, it says you started sharing.
Oh, good. Okay, can you see the documents yet?
No, we see the Pacific Coast.
Ah, well, that's not good.
Now we see them. Oh, you had them up.
Oh,
They
okay.
were up.
Let me open it up again.
You got it.
Now they're up.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'm a first-time Zoomer, so.
You did good.
Can I zoom this out a little bit? So essentially, the work that was sort of undertaken prior was all the sills and lintels throughout the front here, the installation of the windows, and some other elements around the back of the building. What we're looking to do now is start work on this stoop area. That's sort of, once again, a structural issue we need to remediate as it's in bad disrepair, and the stair area here, which is, well, they're disintegrated essentially. They're originally brownstone stairs, and then they capped them with concrete, and they've sunk, and a lot of issues with that. So if I shoot to the next one, you can kind of see some of the issues, some of the things we're doing there. So basically the main elements are going to be rebuilding this doorway here, installing these windows here, the lintels, replacing the door under the stair, and then rebuilding this whole stoop element. So it's structurally sound, so you actually have access from the street down into that area. In addition to that, in speaking with Craig a little while back about the handrails and the guardrails and fencing and things, I do have some photos of the older stuff I can show you. But Craig also mentioned that because this is sort of a new work, we need to sort of be a little more aware of the codes and that sort of private-public interface, whereas before it was a very simple single rail everywhere and the rails were relatively low. We wanted to sort of bring that up without sort of impacting too heavily on the building. Other small areas we'll be touching up. One of the corbels is in disrepair. We have all the pieces. We'll be repairing that back to its original look. The windows themselves need some minor trim on the outside. just to seal them up. And then the final application will be repointing the brickwork on the front of the building. So if we run further through the application, you can kind of see how the building looks at the moment. So this is a fairly recent shot of it. As you can see, that the handrail is in pretty poor condition. The stairs are pretty poor condition, and the handrails for everything else are in a pretty sad state. As I mentioned, one of the corbels up here needs to get repaired. All the material has been retained for that, so that's a fairly easy process. The exterior trim on the windows needs to be installed. That wasn't done the last round, and obviously the brickwork needs to get repointed across the facade. That'll be matching a like for historical purposes. Regarding the front entry here, the original door is on the right-hand side. It was a double swing element. It was taken out prior, I guess, in 2017. We're looking to rebuild it following the same design principles, but as a single door that fits in this entry space, essentially mimicking all the details of this door, but make it look like a single one. I have a sketch a little later on of that. Further on, as you can see, the stairs are in pretty poor shape. The handrails are in pretty poor shape. These are all going to be removed, replaced with similar material to replicate what was there. And then there's a bunch of work that's going to be happening sort of at this basement level. The belt line here needs to be replaced. There's the sills, the headers need to be replaced, and the sills need to be replaced, and the windows installed. That's in that pit area. This was the issue, I guess, with the handrail, which has degraded a bit more in the intervening time. About it a while back, he'd mentioned this is sort of not really a good handrail to have sort of in this public-private space, especially if somebody falls down into the stoop there. So that was our idea, is to maybe simplify it and make it a little more practical and code compliant. So that's the sort of depth of the stoop that we're dealing with. So essentially this whole area has to be dug out, re-poured, and the new railings and fencing and stairs go in. You can see these are the basement windows, which haven't been replaced yet. And then there's a small door that was is located under the entry stairs. It's just a wooden panel door. We're looking to replace that with something like a metal door, just for security and longevity purposes. The basement's primarily going to be used for services, so we just want something a little more robust to be down there. Additionally, being down in that stoop area, it's probably going to get a lot of snow and other accumulation there, so we'd like to keep something fairly practical for that. And then following on with the gate here, there's a gate that was installed some time ago. We'd like to replicate the handrail style into a new gate here, a very simple, minimal sort of looking structure, not impactful on the space at all, but ties in the front gate, the handrails and the stoop area together. Regarding material, previously the center square on this is the concrete composite that was used. It's a stained concrete. It's a full stained concrete product. So color-wise, it matches fairly tightly with the existing sandstone. And as I said before, that's been used for all the headers and the lintels and the sills throughout the building already. We're just looking to continue using that material on the basement for the band line and for the stair treads. And that's just a fairly basic image. Like to keep the gates and handrails and things fairly simple, not to be impactful on the building, but to still comply with code requirements. And essentially, this image is a basic image of how the door we propose will look, going from the double swing door to a single door, mimicking all the features of that double swing door into a single unit. And with regard to the windows, these windows were purchased part of the earlier package. So these are the two basement windows, which will be going into that stoop basement level. So I'll run back up to these two here. So sort of in recap, a lot of this work has been done. We're just taking on the next phase of it, repairing the corbels, a new entry door, this belt line, these lintels, these sills here will be replaced, the windows will be replaced, and the door to the basement will be replaced. And then from the street view, new handrails, new stairs up, a new guardrail and a new metal gate to sort of, once again, tie the building in, not subtract too much from the building, but still provide a level of security and compliance for what they're doing. Oh, I can't hear anyone.
Ladies and gentlemen.
There we go.
I just want to say, I think everything presented is terrific, and this building certainly needs work, and it's going to be nice to see it finished. My question regarding the double doors that you're going to make a single door, will that be will the single door be the same width as what the two double doors were?
Yes, I believe it's about 38 or 39 inches wide, so it'll be fairly similar. I don't know if it'll be quite the same, but things will be proportioned to be the same. So it may be, like I said, it may be slightly smaller, but the proportions will be replicated.
Is there any, I'm just curious why you wouldn't keep the double doors and you would go to a single door?
Because it opens straight into the living room and you can't really seal the double doors.
And the proposed single door, then the panels, the sticking around the panels,
yep,
sticking around the glass would be identical to the door that
the original unit. Yeah. So all that material was someone had stored that in the basement when they took all that stuff out. So that's all still there. So that able to be either reused or replicated, but the original material is there.
The brownstone stoop,
yep,
then is to be replaced with a concrete treads and landing that would be of the same profiles of the previous stone, correct? And that's just square treads, and there's no bullnose or detailing in any of that. Those are square blocks of brownstone.
No, there was a little bit of detailing I can show you, but most of it's eroded into fairly awful condition. So you can sort of see on this one here,
Uh-huh.
it does have a little bit of detail. It seems to have a little bull nose, but you know, they've poured, it seems like they've poured 2, 3, 4 inches of concrete on top of it. We could look at having a nice bull nose put on them, or a slight return or something like that. I don't think that's,
It would be very useful to know what those, what the exact profile of those were. If there was a bull nose
sure.
that returned, that would be
As you,
interesting to try to keep.
yeah, yeah. As you can see on this photo, you sort of see the degradation of everything.
Yeah.
So I think that it does look like there is a small bull nose return on it. But I other than that, the detail's fairly hard. Everything's sort of eroded, and
I think that the concept of replacing those heavily deteriorated, that stoop, with new cast concrete brownstone, I'm using air quotes around brownstone. I think that's a good solution. Rather than to use another type of stone, because brownstone is very much part of this composition, this original architectural composition. So I think it's very desirable to use a brownstone, and because brownstone isn't terribly accessible nor and not really very weatherable.
No.
I find it satisfactory to look at doing a cast product, rather than genuine stone. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the lintels and the sills have already, of this building, have already been replaced with that cast product. Is that correct?
Yes. So I've got a photo up at the moment of the facade, so you can kind of see. So we took a long time to find a color match material. Obviously, the weathering that happens, some of the stone is lighter and some of it's darker, but I think we really sort of hit on a good medium. To replicate what's there. And as you said, the wearing capabilities of brownstone and the availability of it is difficult. Two problematic issues. So you can see on this one that sort of color matching.
I'd also really like to see the reuse of or rebuilding or replacement of the original handrail at the stoop. I know that there's a code compliant issue with height and with spacing, needing to have a limitation of a 4-inch sphere. In that. However, that ironwork is really wonderful. And I think that in the community of Hudson, we have some terrific ironwork that fortunately has survived. Certainly not all of it has survived, but I think it would be terrific if we could, in our community, begin to support the craftspeople that are capable of reworking that ironwork and being very creative in the design of the ironwork so that it both reflects the original design, but also complies with the current safety requirements of the code.
Yeah, I agree really strongly with that. This is quite unique ironwork. I haven't seen anything exactly like it elsewhere in Hudson. And I think it's fine to replace the pipes in the front with the railings that you've proposed. But if there would be any way to reconstruct this ironwork that currently exists as the handrails for the steps, I think it would be a real shame to lose that, because it's quite a unique feature.
Sure. No, I
agree.
Yeah. I think,
assuming it can't be restored.
You're gonna cut a lot of it off. it's something we can work with, I think. I think there's enough material there. It may not, I mean, we may be able to reuse it for certain elements. All right, I'll just note that down to look into the handrail at the stair and what can be done to either keep it, refurbish it, and improve upon it if we need to somewhat comply with the codes.
We're working, my architectural office is working on a project on Warren Street at 422. And we're
Yep.
looking at rebuilding an earlier handrail there as well that was totally lost. So we're actually right in now looking for craftspeople that can do this work. So if you come up with somebody, if you find that talent, please let
I'll
me
send
know.
you. Yep.
And I will certainly let you know, because we're actually searching it out right now in the
Sure.
Albany, Troy area and learning. We're trying to learn some of the history of the ironwork that's been done here in Hudson, because I think it's really an important part of the texture and the architectural interest of the city.
Sure. No, I definitely will pass that information on. I mean, looking at this handrail, I think in the demolition stage, we could probably be fairly nimble with what we do to try and retain as much as possible. And we may be able to reuse it, I think.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, the certain elements have been embedded in concrete for a long time. So we'll have to see
Yeah.
how
But it looks like it's mild steel that could be, you know, welded back, you know, extensions on the
that's what I'm
stems
thinking.
and so forth, and
Yeah.
could be reworked, and then possibly a secondary element added to this design that could create the 4-inch enclosure that we need in the current code.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a restoration of a stoop at 515 Union Street a few years ago, which was a different thing because it was urn-shaped columns as opposed to wrought iron like this.
Mhm.
But we were able to put thin iron rods in between the columns, and it solved the code problem. And it looks really great.
Right.
You may be able to do something like that, at least with the lower level.
Mm-hmm.
It just would be a great shame to lose this
Yeah.
detail.
Yeah. But with regard to say the other areas, it seems fine to you to keep it simple, or do you want to keep this sort of a 2-rail setup that's for the rest of the stoop?
Personally, the railing you proposed is fine, and I do think that from a safety standpoint, it makes a lot more sense.
I agree.
Others may feel different.
Wonderful. Okay, so that's great. So that really gives us a little bit of time to work on getting this area sorted out. And like I said, looking at the photos, I think, you know, it's been there for a long time, and it looks like it's still relatively solidly embedded. You know, I think a lot of it's probably going to be salvageable, and most likely we'll be able to reuse it for the application we need.
That would be great. I think, should we make a contingency of some sort in the C of A that you will, if you're not able to reuse this, that you will come back with what you intend to do?
Yeah, 100%.
Could we consider reuse or replicate if it's not reusable?
Well, they may have to have some other solution.
Maybe another
in order to
solution.
meet the
Okay.
code. So
I
Do
got
you need to see what the result is, what it would look like if someone started putting the iron rows in to bring it up to code? Do you want to see that?
yes, that's what we're saying. If they're not able to reuse this exact same handrail, then they need to show us what they are planning to do.
Sure.
Okay. So, well said. I think we should be able to go forward and take a motion, find the application complete. I'll continue to address the contingency. It's understood on the railing. But other than that, can we find the application complete?
What about the stairs? Are we requiring a bullnose on the stair treads? I lost track of that one.
There was no closure on it. I think that that had been brought up as having a high probability of being part of the original treads or some suggestion of that. And I don't think Thomas was concerned one way or another. Or Thomas, go ahead.
Look, I think I'll investigate further. I think Chip brought it up. We'll try and accommodate, something a little more historical to fit in with this, sort of on further investigation of just those small elements. I think, if that works for you.
It's hard to write the C of A based on further investigation. So either we leave the stairs out for the time being and you return, or the board approves your plan.
Well, I mean, we could leave the stairs somewhat out because, like a lot of it's going to be investigative work, so actually pulling it apart. So,
okay.
You know what I mean? Or we add it in with some sort of caveat.
When you say this whole area, Thomas, you're referring to both the treads and the railing?
Yeah, so I think we're going to have to sort of basically dismantle this whole area just to keep the railings and do a bit more, have a little more understanding of the treads. I mean, I can go down there and have a look again and see what we can do in the intervening time.
What I'm thinking then, maybe we, as you said, take this off the table in terms of the tread and railing solution and move forward with a C of A and all the rest of the work. Does that make sense?
For me, yes.
Yeah, and ask him to come back and show us the
Yeah,
final
of
design
course.
for the stairs.
Yeah.
So we're excluding basically the
front entry stairs.
Yeah, the front entry.
Front stoop.
We're going to have, right. Okay. Motion to find the application complete within the parameters. Yes.
This is Craig. Just for clarity purposes, for when we move forward with their permit. The stairs are as is, they're not touching them until we get a final approval on a second application, or how are they coming back? Are they coming back under the existing approval, or are they coming back with a new application?
The new application, as I understand it, Craig, and in terms of, you said not touching them, they're not installing anything new. We didn't discuss whether they're going to have to demo that.
That whole area has to be demolished.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say that we could approve the demolition and salvaging of that, or words to that effect. I think that the intent of I think we understand that those steps need to be demolished and completely rebuilt. What we're looking for is some additional information from the applicant about the bullnose and the exact profile of the brownstone, cast brownstone. And I think we're looking for additional detail from the applicant to inform us how he can creatively reuse this handrail and make it code compliant.
Okay. So to shorten that a little bit, all of the work, including the demo, which is part of the investigation of what's going to be possible in the front, but we're still excluding the solution to the front, and that is a separate application. Anyone disagree? Good, then that's what we're doing. Did we get through the vote on finding the application complete?
No.
Could we
I move that we find the application complete.
Excellent, and I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to not hold a public hearing and request the city attorney to prepare a C of A. Anyone make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you very much, Paul. And a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor by voice?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We got somewhere. Thomas, thank you very much.
That's all right.
This is going to be a terrific project. Thank you for what you're doing, and we'll move forward with much of the work, including the
Yes,
there. But you got to come back with a solution on the front.
definitely, not a problem.
Deal. Thank you. Next, long patient folks. Do we have folks here from 620 Union?
Yes. Yep.
Hi.
There. Oh, good guys. Thank you very much. I'm sorry that the meeting ran long. Well, it just goes that way. So what's happening is you all had to make some changes on what you had presented to us a while back. And you're asking that the commission do basically what we did last time, which is we're not driving this to a C of A at this point. We are deciding to whether we prepare or don't prepare sort of an approved of the proposed changes in concept or some sort of preliminary support to take to the planning board. Is that correct?
That's right, Chairman. So just to refresh the board's memory, we're purchasing the building located at 620 Union, which has been vacant since 2014, and we're redeveloping it into an independent boutique hotel, which we presented this before the board a few months ago. And after doing a cost estimate based on our design development drawings, we've revisited the design and made some very minor modifications to the plans that we'd like to obtain massing, scale, and overall design approval for from the board today. I'd like to hand it off to my design team. Mike Finney is my architect of record. We'll take it from here.
Great. Thank you, David, and thank you, board. I appreciate your time. Yeah, we've made some minor adjustments to the plan, and we'll see if we can get our shared screen up here. Everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, whoops, we need to go back to the original slide. Okay. So just to refresh everyone's memory about the project, obviously bordered by Union Street, Cherry Alley, and South 7th Street. There's a historic core of the building, the McKinstry Mansion, which is the sort of 1835 portion of the building here, which is we are largely restoring and to be a renovation project, and then the 1906 edition back here. And those are the two areas that we're really focusing on, restoration, preservation. There were unfortunately, some sort of poor additions or replacement that was done over time. The front porch was completely lost and replaced with a steel and concrete building. And then there was a stone enclosure put on the bottom of the porch, and a new side stair added, which kind of broke up the symmetry of the original design, which was the front porch with just one main central stair. You'll see later on that we're gonna still preserve, bring back the original porch. We did some historical research from older photos to sort of understand what that design was originally. There was an elevator tower added onto the side of the building for accessibility. In the new design, we're tucking that in the back as part of the addition, and we're removing this and restoring this facade. There was a series of historic porches that were here that were all removed, and then a sort of steel and concrete fire escape system was put in, and then a one-story addition was added here, which is currently an apartment for the building. And then lastly, there was a series of bathroom additions that were tacked on to the corner of the 1906 building that we'd like to remove and restore this facade. There's a pretty good area of green space and landscaping. We believe that there were probably a series of gardens here at one time. Notably, there are 2 mature trees that we are proposing to save, and dictated a lot of the design of the proposed addition. So moving to the next slide, I'm going to let Dale from Wagner Hodgins talk to you about we're going to show you what the original proposed landscape design was, and then what the revised design is. Really, the simplest way to say this is pretty much everything staying exactly the same with the exception of this bay over here. Can everyone see my cursor? That bay of the building is being slid forward one bay. And the reason is, once we got into the initial cost analysis and construction estimating, all of the shoring and deep excavation that's going to be required along Cherry Alley for the basement, we had a full basement under the entire new addition previously, was really driving some costs up considerably. So in the new design, we're proposing a much smaller basement that would really alleviate some of that shoring and complicated excavation. When we do that, we lose a lot of storage that was critical to the building's function as a hotel and restaurant. So by sliding this forward one bay, we're getting a large storage room and housekeeping area on every floor. So that's really the big change and what's caused this for us to need to come back to you today. And you'll see that in the next slide. But Dale, if you want to just describe the landscape design here, and I can see that this is slid forward about 19.5 feet. This allows for this large storage and housekeeping program to happen on each floor. And then when we do that, we end up with 1 extra guest room per floor than what was previously proposed. So there'll be 3 extra guest rooms in the end with the storage area on each floor as well. All the other arrangements and programs of the building are remaining the same as previously presented. So restaurant being over here, bar, pub over here, some public bathrooms in the back of the house space, mechanical, employee bathrooms, kitchen, storage, so on, and then guest rooms. Main entry lobby is still here, and main entrance off Union still here, and then reception desk still here. So I'll pause for a second and let Dale talk to you about the landscape design and how it's largely remained intact with some minor modifications to this corner here.
Before I have this quick question, Mr. Chairman, this is Craig with City Code. Michael?
Yes.
When you're saying 1 bay, we need to know the measurement. I just received this plan last night at about 4:45, so I haven't had a chance to review it.
Sure.
And I have to make determinations on other approvals that have already been done where we go with this. So I need to know the actual change other than 1 bay. What's the measurements and what's everything consist of?
Sure, it's 19'6" is the exact dimension. Moving the building forward, 19'6". All the other dimensions everywhere along the building have remained exactly the same as previously proposed.
Okay.
So previous facade was roughly right about here. We've moved that 19'6" forward.
Okay, so for another conversation, I would suggest somebody contact me after your discussion with HPC, because you also went through a site plan. And if that's altering your existing site plan, you may have to go back to them as well.
Yes, we're planning on that. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Thank you, Craig.
That's it. Thanks, Phil.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I'll just kind of quickly go over the landscape concept again, just to kind of give a summary of what was presented in the past. Since there doesn't appear to be any historic documentation of the original landscape of the mansion, our concept was to create a probable landscape narrative so that the landscape for this project is a design that we feel is in tune with what might have existed at the time that the Krinsky Mansion was built. There likely was a formal garden at the entry, and a fair assumption can also be made that the landscape and gardens to the west of the house were either a series of garden rooms or a large open lawn, the latter of which we've included in the design to create a park-like setting under the shade of large existing trees, which we're maintaining. And a vestige to the historic picket fence that once edged the property, we're proposing a border of shrubs to provide that defined edge that we feel is friendlier and more inviting than a fence. And so the area that you're seeing, the design as you're seeing on the screen is broken up into three sort of landscape zones. The first being the formal entry garden, which is designed to be similar to a classic 19th century flower garden. The terraces, paved areas of brick and stone that provide historic character for outdoor dining, and the spa terraces. And the spa terrace will include a fire pit, seating area, a hot tub, and sauna, all nestled within a quiet kind of garden setting. And then the open park-like lawn that creates an east-west visual access from the formal garden to the east to a private hammock garden to the west. And that's the area which has been mostly the most diminished in the landscape. It's gotten a little tighter, so we've reduced the number of hammocks, but we still are able to maintain kind of a private garden setting. And then sort of along the lawn are seating areas with benches. So the organization of these zones keep the social activity close to the building, and landscape garden buffer along Union Street, and also provides access and opportunities for guests to stroll when they're visiting the hotel, the restaurant, and the bar. So I think, and that's, but everything else has pretty much stayed the same. And Mike will talk more about the architectural adjustments.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you, Dale. Again, these are some of the photos we were able to obtain doing some of our historic research. Kind of two major elements that we're very interested in is the original front porch, which you can see here, which had a much larger entablature and some decorative columns. You can see there was just one stair coming off the front. The main facade was completely symmetrical. And then the down below was actually open, and there was a little side entrance over here that got you down to the lower level. So we'll be bringing that back as well. Also, the porches that once existed here were a little bit more decorative, wood framed with some interesting balusters. And we're going to bring back a certain portion of those elements as well in the proposed design. And then next slide, just to remind everyone what's there today. Here you can see that porch element is totally gone. It's just a thin concrete and steel structure. And then the historic porches that were once there are completely gone as well, just replaced with this kind of steel and concrete that's really deteriorating and rusting. And then this one-story addition that was converted into an apartment. We think that was a kind of a dining area at one time, or the main dining room for the Home for the Aged, when that was occupying the building. And then this kind of little bathroom tacked on. You can see the bricks different colored, and challenges this facade in a way we think is inappropriate. And then lastly, the elevator tower here that was added on. We'd like to remove and restore this facade. Okay, next slide. So just from a floor plan standpoint, really everything's remaining the same as originally proposed. The exception is this wing here. in here on all 3 floors. If we go to the next slide, we can see that there's that extension and then the storage area that's been added to each level. And then when that slides forward, you end up with 1 extra room per floor. Biggest change you can see is the basement. It used to be a full basement all the way out to this perimeter. That's now been pulled in. This really helps alleviate shoring and sensitive excavation against Cherry Alley. Okay, just moving into the building exterior design. Really, Cherry Alley remains completely really doesn't get affected by this at all. The only exception is we were looking at the back of this. This is a parged concrete plinth that exists on the 1906 edition, and we felt along Cherry Alley that we should try to match that material and color and texture. So that's a refinement in the design that has happened as we move towards construction documents and final detailing. You can see that we have we've purposely had the color palette and so on that we proposed previously is exactly the same. So it's a black and dark charcoal color scheme, and purposely to have this feel more recessive to the more historic warm brick facade of the McKinstry Mansion. On this facade, we are still maintaining the brick plinth. We think that's sort of an appropriate use of materials that echoes back to the historic building and kind of ties the materiality of these 2 buildings together. The Juliet balconies and then the shed dormers with the recessed balconies are still in place. And then our 2-story addition, it's really going to be designed to be as transparent as possible, so you can see the restored balconies and the original facade of the restored facade of the 1906 edition as well. You'll see that in some of the renderings moving forward. And then probably most importantly is here's the front porch that we're going to restore with the new entablature, the decorative columns, the new central stair, decorative railing. The side stairs have been removed, and then down below this has been opened up again. The way grade slopes down and around to this side, there will be a little side stair that gets you down to that lower level, which is the bar and pub area. The next slide. So again, really the big change is moving this element from right about here to here. So this slides out, having the parged plinth. The brick will wrap around this side onto the west side. We are doing the small little Juliet balconies again, and the enclosed gable end. So this is pretty much exactly as shown as previously. And then on the McKinstry Mansion side, this is largely just a restoration project. The big change here, when we'll clean and point the brick and clean things up. We are using new windows to match the historic look and profile. Unfortunately, the existing windows are full of asbestos in the glazing, caulking, and so on, so they're not salvageable. But we'll provide new windows to match those details. And then the new porch here. So moving forward, next slide. This was the original, just to give you a little before and after of we had done 4 photorealistic renderings for you last time. So we wanted to show you a before and after. So this was what we presented last time, and then this is proposed. So you can see there's really no changes here at all. The only thing we did change is we were able to find a tree that was more closely reflective of the branch structure of the large tree that's there now. So that was a little bit of artistic license that we've shown. The tree canopy has been updated. But the landscaping has remained the same, and the patio, the dining terrace patio, you can see. And then this is that facade that I was talking about, where we're really focusing on that to have a high degree of transparency, so you can see the new dining balcony, restored balcony beyond, and the facade beyond. So moving to the next, again, this was the previous view. This is now zooming back, just stepping back as if you're standing on the sidewalk on Union Street. Looking back at the main facade, you can see the porch elements that we're bringing back. And then proposed, again, this really remains unchanged. The only difference here is we just updated the tree scale and canopy to be more closely reflective of what was there. You can see now the grassy areas that will be incorporated. And this is now standing at the intersection at the corner, looking back at the entire project. This was before, and then the after. Go to the next slide. You can see that really the big changes. This is slid forward slightly, but all of the lawns and gardens and everything that we had showed before, the trees and the new trees are all going to be in place, and the hedges will remain. So I'll pause there to see if there's any, and then zooming in, this is zooming in on as if you're standing in the lawn area, looking at the original design. You can see these shed dormers kind of project, become a sculptural element. And with this facade sliding forward, we've added another one of those here just to break up this facade and define it a little bit. It actually works off the stair landing, so it gives a spot for a guest to step out and look at the gardens. And then the spa and sauna and fire pit area is tucked in here behind this hedge, and some private landscaping, and the far lawn is maintained, and the upper lawn is also maintained.
Michael, what's your next step in approvals? You go to planning as your next meeting, or?
Yes. So next step would be to go to back to planning board just to give them the same update. And hopefully, we're successful there, and then if so, we'll move into construction documents where all the additional level of details and all the materiality will be finalized, and we can come back to you for C of A.
Okay, thanks very much. I just want the commission to be clear that what we're deciding on is a preliminary review. It's not a C of A at this point, and the applicant had said that it had been helpful and would be helpful for planning to understand that we looked at the work that we were doing and we generally thought it was a good path forward. So comments or discussion on what we've seen?
I like it. I think it's fine.
Okay.
I agree.
Yes, me too.
So we're not even voting on completeness. The motion on the table would be that to request the city attorney to draft a document as she did a previous time for the same applicant, recognizing a general approval, the direction they're taking, etc. I'll make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Terrific. We will do that. City Attorney Polidoro will prepare the document we described, and we'll get that to the applicant. I believe that's all that's on the agenda. Anyone have other stuff or want to bring forward new business? Old business?
Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
I thought we were on the schedule for 548 State Street for solar panels.
No, is Craig still on?
Yeah, I'm here. Has there been an application submitted? I don't recall getting.
Yeah, there was an application submitted. Let me pull it up. think it was dated November 3rd or 4th. I have a representative from the company with me. Gabby, do you have the exact date of that?
I'm sorry, Matt, my speaker, hi everyone, I'm sorry, our speakers. They want to know, we're not on their calendar, they want to know when they submitted the application. All right, let me just check that.
I'm looking at the application says the 4th of November. That it was.
Yes, that's
submitted.
right, correct.
Well, generally, the new applications are going at the first meeting of the month, unless it's a sign, right?
That's correct. We had some exceptions for this meeting because stuff got put under a fair amount of pressure through the holidays. But logically, if this is a new application, it would be in our December meeting.
Was the November 4th not early enough to submit for this month's meeting?
I don't know. I didn't see your app.
And that's
No.
where I'm looking now. You sent it to the code. Can anybody hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you, Craig.
All right, so you sent it to the code department on November 4th. Is that what you're saying?
That's the date the document was signed. The company who would be doing the install and did the design actually submitted it on my behalf. That's the date on the file.
Oh, that's not the date that you forwarded email, right?
Yeah, well, that's the date. I do have it here in front of me. I did get it. So let me see what we got here. I don't know. Hang on one second. Oh, yeah, we did. So now I don't know. I'm going to forward it to you now, Phil, but I got to check my forwarding emails to see if I sent it to you.
We definitely submitted it and it was sent in.
This is becoming torture. What's your project? Just solar panels?
Correct.
As long as we're all here. I don't want to beat this up anymore. Can you share your screen?
Yes.
What's the address?
548 State Street.
One second.
Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have that, and it appears it didn't go through in the email, so I'm sending it now to everybody.
All right. They can share their screen if it gets complicated, we'll find another way. But if this is pretty understandable through the screen share, I'm okay.
You guys should be able to see the screen now. This is the plan set here. We're using SunPower solar panels, which are the most efficient. They do take up less space. Yes, these are the 320 watt panels, and we're putting 10 of them on the front side of the roof here. This is the actual original building, I believe, right, Matt?
That building is across the street. So if you were sitting on the roof, that's what you'd be looking at.
Okay, so this is the original building across the street. This is their building now, and it's comp shingles. The panels would go on the front of the roof here. This is the back side, the only picture that I have. But this rendering here is the design where the 10 panels would go street view, and this will kind of give a layout to everybody here. Now, this system is integrated with a mounting rack, but there's no shown conduit, so it's just gonna look like it's gently placed on the roof space here. And yes, that's basically the idea.
Gabby, are there any other modifications to what we're looking at, or we're simply just talking about the installation of the solar panels on the roof?
Just the installation.
Okay. We've Okay.
I'm sorry, are the panels on the roof facing the street or this back roof?
The street.
Do you have a photograph from the street?
I'm trying to pull one up right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just start to go. Not yet. Yeah, email it to me. Sure.
So that would, what you would see from the street.
I'm pulling up a picture also. There's one arrow.
No. And that's pulling up a picture too. Let's see.
There's one.
Can I ask how many inches above the roof line now would we be seeing of panels?
3 inches.
Yeah.
And they're set back from the front by 4 feet something.
I think it says 5 feet, no, 5 to
5 feet 2 inches from the bottom gutter.
5, yeah, 5 feet 2 inches from the bottom gutter. So it'd be set back quite a bit.
That's cool.
I have another picture that shows the whole roof line if you want me to
Yeah, please.
screen share that.
Yes.
This was taken from the house diagonal across the street from ours.
No.
This photograph that you're showing us now is taken standing on the raised property of across the street, not from standing on the sidewalk, or is
Correct.
this
This
standing
is
on
not-
the sidewalk?
This is not standing on the sidewalk. This is raised, yeah.
The first one is standing on the sidewalk.
So we're actually seeing a little bit more of the roof than what we would actually see from the sidewalk.
Yes,
In this
that's
photograph.
correct.
Thoughts or comments? I think have reviewed solar panels more than a few times and pretty much gone with them.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Right. One sec. There's another one. Let me find the screen where it is. Where's it? Oh, here. This is from this picture is from the street level.
Is that the current staircase? Is that what it looks like now? Is that the
Yeah,
most recent photo?
Yes.
I don't have a problem with the solar panels. I think that they won't be that highly visible, and to the extent they are, they blend in fine with the roof. It's okay.
I agree.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I have a motion to find the application complete.
Motion.
Done by Hugh, second by both Paul and Miranda. Thank you very much on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. A motion to request the city attorney to prepare a certificate of appropriateness and waive a public hearing. Anyone?
I'll make that motion.
Well done. Paul.
Second.
Second by you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Unanimous. So, guys, this was, I don't know why you had a long journey on this application. It happens very, very, very infrequently, but it did happen. Anyway, we got you done. So we're gonna, in 2 weeks, you'll have a C of A, check in with code enforcement, Craig Haig.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
And that, I think, was the last, unless folks want to raise other new and exciting issues, we can adjourn.
Thanks, Bill.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks,
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving to one.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.